Welcome to Blue Collar Mystics, the under-the-hood approach to the depths of human consciousness. So many mysteries, so little time, so many big words. That's why we aim to take the mystical and make it practical, usable in your everyday life. And you know, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your story. What happened when you started asking yourself the real questions? Like, who am I? What is this? Is it a hologram? Is this some kind of weird cosmic joke? Hey, these are the questions that we are trying to get to the bottom of as we explore the final rabbit hole together here as Blue Collar Mystics. All right, welcome everybody, fellow mystics, seekers of truth and questioners of existence and mysteriousness. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited. Tonight's going to be a special night. I am happy to be able to introduce y'all to someone who I've really enjoyed getting to know. We've met in sort of what is kind of a new professional frontier for me in the realm of stand-up comedy, and someone who produces a lot of shows. He's a headlining comedian, just came back from doing a series of shows down in Florida, and he just put out his very first special. I hope you all check it out. I have a link to that in the show notes. Put that out all independently, and looks really good. It's a really fun special, so please definitely check it out. I want to welcome my friend Jojo White to the show. Jojo, welcome.
Yo, what's up, man? What up, Owen? What's good, everybody who's streaming or not streaming or late to the stream?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, we're in the Facebook group, we are on YouTube, and we're on Rockfin. We got at least one person watching on Rockfin right now. I'm sure that might be Laura. She's got yeah, and then some people will probably hop on as we go, and we'll definitely also put this out as a podcast afterwards, so that'll be out on the podcast feed as well. And if anybody misses the stream, they'll be able to watch the replay as many times as they want, 30, 40 times.
But the live value, anything can happen right now.
That's right. That's the exciting part. Yeah, man. Before we get going, do you have any dates that you want to plug? Anything or any other type of things that you want to let people know about?
Oh man, what's happening in my world? Comedy. I do have dates, but luckily for me that I'm blessed to have some people to help me and keep track of my days and schedules. I do have Athens. I'm in Athens in like the first or second week of December.
Okay.
You can check out all my updates on my Instagram, Jojo White Comedy. That's where I'm posting my clips, but I'm also hopping on talking about my dates coming up and shows coming up. But right now, I got a couple in December, but I'm like low key building for next year and trying to get a tour going, and just trying to make money and become famous with my job.
Right.
What everybody's doing.
But not too famous. We talked about this, right?
No, I don't want to like go out and I can't like walk down the street without people chasing me, or I can't like go eat dinner without people like interrupting, or not Kevin Hart famous. Absolutely not. Maybe like, like a Samuel L. Jackson famous.
What? I don't know I don't understand your scale. I feel like, I don't know, man.
Somewhere along the lines like that, man,
Sure.
Definitely. Actually like what is his name? He rides the subway, and to this segment or this podcast, He played in a movie called The Matrix. Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
Sorry, my mind just like
No, dude, you're good.
yeah, Keanu Reeves. You know,
Just Neo famous, no big deal.
yeah. I want to ride the subway, be able to ride the subway when in Atlanta.
Without getting robbed. Yeah, I've got some dates coming up too. I'm gonna see if I can share my screen. I made a flyer today. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go.
Oh,
I got some dates coming up. Some holiday hijinks. Watch out, I'm coming at you. I am gonna be doing the Fur Kids benefit in Cumming, Georgia, Laughing Skull on Monday the 4th. I'll be performing with Jojo at the Root on the 6th, which is a Wednesday here in Athens. The kids are gonna roast me here in Athens. I'll tape that and put it on my Patreon page. Yeah. 12/9 Saturday. If you're in Nashville, Tennessee, come and see me do a podcast where there will probably be 12 or 13 people there. I don't really know. I told this girl who was opening up for David Tell that I was doing this show, and she was like, gird your loins. So I'll try to be prepared for that. If you're in the Greenville, South Carolina area, I will be there on the 13th of December for a show called Funny or Fired. I don't know. I might not last that long. It might be cold plunge amounts of time. You know what I'm saying? 2-3 minutes. And then I'm doing a clown show Friday, the 15th of December here in Athens, Georgia. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I promise it's hilarious. It's going to be a lot of fun. You'll be surprised at kind of what that is. If people have questions, I'm sure you do. Hit me up, and I'm happy to oblige and entertain your questions and thoughts. Yeah. I'm excited.
A bunch of dates. People like you.
Well, I've been booking shows here long enough that I feel like people are kind of returning the favor, and, I appreciate it. I'm grateful to be thought about, and I'm trying to just get more rooms going and more comedy going. As you and I know, it's a little bit different in the world of comedy than some people might expect. And I don't want to take up all our time talking shop here, but there's a lot of independent comedy that's amazing. And then you've got clubs which are kind of linked into a particular sort of circuit. So it's kind of two different worlds. We're very entrepreneurial as comedians. And, Jojo, you are one of the people who was putting on a lot of shows around Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. So it's awesome. It's very, very valuable.
Trying to get some stage time. Everybody, the mama's a producer these days, and grandmas. So, we're out here just, we call them like entrepreneurs, just trying to take over everybody's venue to have comedy.
That's correct.
Comedy anywhere. We'll do it in a Subway. And I'm talking about the food place.
Right.
Dude, in an alley, dude, if you put up lights and a mic, we'll do comedy.
That's right, dude. Foot-long jokes for days, bro. Let's go. We got them.
You're home and make you laugh.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so to answer your question, honey, for whatever reason, it's not letting me throw this last comment in there. The clowns will be fully clothed. The clowns are they in body paint or are they in clothes? They will be clothed. So no worries there. It's really fun. The way I would describe clown is kind of like interactive sketch. So if that makes sense for people out there, it's kind of like, it seems like improv, but instead of just, we're doing this thing here, like we're engaging directly with the crowd. Yeah. So there will be like some sketches and some little motifs and stuff, but it's not Ronald McDonald,
Make like more clear if you want to know what it is. If you remember the 90s dancing of crumping and clowning, he'll be doing that.
That's right. I've been practicing. She says, oh, it means something else here in Oregon. See, that's the funny thing about it. They tried to have a clown festival, but what happened was they just disagreed, everyone amongst themselves, on what clowning was. So,
baby, insane clown posse.
Bro, it's the most controversial, pretentious thing in the world.
Yeah. That's what clowning is. What does it mean over in, where did she say? Oregon, Ohio,
In
where?
Oregon, yeah.
Oregon? Yeah, because Oregon's a wild place. What does clowning mean over there?
Yeah, right. Does Antifa have a set of clowns up there? What's going on in Oregon? Tell us about it.
Just the movie with Joaquin Phoenix, Joker. It's just a bunch of like people wearing clown masks, just anarchy.
That's right, dude. Robbing banks and setting police departments on fire. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, I met Jojo doing one of his shows, and ever since then, we've done a couple different shows together and have enjoyed getting to know each other, building a bit of a friendship and stuff. Like I said, as comedians, we're kind of expected to do a lot. The venues, I came from the music world and I thought, oh, it'll be easy to do comedy. It's just one person. It's just one microphone. You don't have to, mic the snare drum and the kick and all this, but the expectations as far as producing a comedy show versus producing a music show are almost completely different. If as a music act or a band, you kind of walk in there and the venue does a lot of the promotion for you, and they'll apologize to you if the place isn't full. But it's quite the opposite as a comedian. They just are like, oh, we're doing comedy, where are all the people? It's like, well, we've got to run ads and flyers and all kinds of different things in order to get people out to some random place that's not a comedy club. So it's a lot of work. But Jojo has several shows that he produces, and I've been fortunate enough to be on quite a few of those. And we've had the opportunity to talk a little bit, but we haven't super talked in depth about this kind of stuff yet, which is why I'm excited to do it publicly.
Yeah, I went to your house. Yeah, I think especially in the comedy world, and maybe just any work environment, like just anywhere you go, like, well, mostly comedy. Back me up if this is true. I think there's a lot of competition in the comedy world, and there's a lot of like me, and so in my personal experience, you don't run across a lot of genuine good people who want to do good themselves, but are also have other people in mind and want to help them be successful as well in comedy. Everybody's just out solo dolo, and so I think that was the thing. Like that when I came across you, I was like, I read your energy. I was like, okay, and this is a good guy. He's a good guy.
You brailled me, bro.
Yeah, dude, I brailled you. I was like, with I did with consent, like
right.
And I think we just kept communicating like through text or whatever, and I was like, okay, and then the friendship is just growing, and we have just have things going for us. It's been cool.
It's very cool. Yeah. And I think, we had mentioned the lady on the plane who was like, that motherfucker's not real. He's not real. And just laughed a little bit about that, which kind of gave me some insight into, what your views on the world might be. I don't know, like as a person who's, I don't even know how I identify myself other than just a curious person. Like I don't consider myself a truther or a conspiracy theorist or a,
oh, I am
liberal or any, I don't know. I just don't, I don't feel like I've ever fit into any group, even a self-help group I've been kicked out of, So it's like, and I'm pretty sure that was just a cult anyway. So who gets kicked out of a cult? But like,
they have any like benefits?
I mean, that's debatable. Maybe some of them do, but I do search and yearn for answers for the truth. I think part of my humor is that I'm digging deep into all of these ideas, and even though I'm looking, I've never really settled on something firm, other than I don't know, other than a few fundamental sort of truths. And I think that's internal and has to do with our own sort of private walk and how we define that, right? Like one thing I don't like, I was talking to somebody on the phone about this. One thing that makes me kind of uncomfortable is people publicly kind of doing certain, things, acts, rituals, whatever you would call it, to kind of draw attention to themselves, sort of thing, right? Where it's like, okay, well, I mean, I feel uncomfortable.
A little bit of goat sacrificing.
Right. A little bit of running around in the woods naked, a little bit of Moloch praise.
Full moon.
Exactly, right.
Throwing glitter in the air,
Yeah, that's always made me feel just a little bit insecure. I don't know why. but yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I also am hesitant for most of the people that I meet to really talk about a lot of stuff other than just joking about it, because there tends to be an overall skepticism, or it's maybe not even skepticism, but highly critical of a lot of these ideas. They just become sort of discarded or sort of made light of and made small in order that, people can continue to feel comfortable and safe, I think.
Yeah, it's very belief and faith, and like we're in a time where it's very touchy to even voice what you believe in or what your faith is in, because everyone has the right way, and if you're not thinking like everybody else, then you're wrong, or you're like, you're what you think is hurting me or bashing me, and it's like, yeah, so it's very tough to have those conversations. But I don't know. I'm a pusher of, like, speak on what you believe in, and as long as it's not like malice towards anybody else, if somebody asks, like, talk on it. But if you're a person to bring it up in conversations, do it. And if somebody doesn't like it, hey guys, we live in a time where, I don't know if anyone knows, but we're free to walk away. Like, we're free to leave a conversation or whatever. If someone's pitching, me to go to Oregon and join the clowns out there, and they're believe in, and I don't believe in it, it's like, all right, that's you. Like, it's not for me. I'm just going to walk over here. Boo. There we go.
There you go. Yeah. And it's easy. It's easy to forget that too. But I mean, I don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. Right. And so, from just that perspective, there's nothing but respect and camaraderie from my end. And I think a lot of people do see this sort of, me against the world. And and it's really easy to do that, especially in comedy. I think it's easy to do that in any sort of world, but especially the comedy world, because we are just by ourselves all the time anyway. It's your act, you're going up there, and you're not really sharing the stage with other people. But we were fortunate enough to have Karen Morgan come and hang out.
I love you if you watch it. Watch this, I love you. She's the best. She's one of the sweetest and like most wonderful. You can clip this up, and so we could just send it to her. I love her. She is the best. She's the great.
She really is. Check her out, Karen Morgan Comedy, on Instagram, I believe TikTok, and YouTube as well. She's got a couple specials out. Great person. She came and just did a workshop out of the kindness of her heart, because she's from Athens here. And basically what she said was, look, guys, you're not competing against each other. Don't think of this like that. And I know she's exactly right, because people don't really want a comedian per se. They want someone who is going to be a hero and say the thing that they don't feel comfortable saying to, ruffle some feathers, right, on stage. And then you come off and you're just nice to everybody. But yeah, I mean, we all have our own view and our own take on the world, and that's okay, right? Like, we don't have to share the belief system of our peers or anyone else. And sometimes it's hard to remember that as a comedian. When you first get started into comedy and you're like, well, I'm going to say this thing. And then it's like, well, that's going to, that people might not like that, so you got to think about what you're doing, meter it a little bit, and say it in a way that's not uncouth or offensive, I guess.
It's a slippery slope, Owen. I mean, I think, man, no matter what, somebody can find something in what you say offensive.
That's true.
So I think, with me, and especially with the stuff I'm doing this new and stuff, like, for instance, I've been telling people that, like, I've really been wanting to be a redneck lately, and just like dive into that culture and, just certain things about them. And, somebody may find it offensive, but like, there's no malice behind it. I'm not, trying to, join the redneck community and, wear rebel flag, shoes and shirts and whatever may be offensive to people. I'm just trying to go to a NASCAR race or something,
Dude, yeah, and those are fun. Those are a good time. My sister used to work for NASCAR, and I made fun of her so hard, dude. But you know what's funny is whenever Talladega Nights came out, she looked at me and she goes, "Owen, it's a documentary."
Which most of y'all may not know that Talladega Nights was based off the 80s movie with Tom Cruise called Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder. And there were some classic scenes in that movie. A lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's got a different redneck story. The original rednecks, Carla says, now she's from up north, I think, where she lives up north now. The original rednecks are called that because of a bandana from the dust running off the hill. It was the mountain tribes fighting against the big government taking over their town.
See, that sounds like I'm fighting against big government. I'm a conspiracist guy.
Conspiracist.
With a list. I'm fighting. So let's go.
Yes, y'all. Let's have some redneck good times.
Let's fight them, boys.
Yeah, man. I've heard a lot of different interpretations of that, but sure, there we go.
That's funny.
But yeah, so let's get into you and your story and what brought you into your views on the world. You're a believer. One of the things that I definitely am excited to talk to you about are just the ideas of Christ. I know a lot of the people who hang out and listen to this podcast who are kicking it with us live have a lot of different views, but I can promise you that we all can really appreciate the words in red in the Bible, the things that man said, and the principles are really powerful, really useful, and I think really important to remember. I think Christians do oftentimes get a bad rap. It's very easy for people to just punch down on Christians, and I also say this: I think Jesus can take a joke. I do. I think he's one of the few that. I mean, goodness, what hasn't he been through, historically speaking, and then still has the grace and fortitude to be able to have a sense of humor. I think God has to have a sense of humor, otherwise we wouldn't have one. Yeah, but
there's goodness in it, and studies proven that laughter is a form of medicine, and there has been people who have been cured in certain ways and illnesses from laughter. There's one story, I think it was, my sources are from my mind, but there's a story about a guy, I think he had cancer, and he denied treatment. And then what he did was he just went every day. He watched movies and things that made him laugh and all these things. One of you guys who are live watching, fact check me, tell me if I'm a liar or not. But he just focused on I don't say the art of laughing, but he just laughed. And then later on came back to do the on him and the cancer is like started to go away. So I don't know. I'm a firm believer that laughter releases chemicals inside of your mind that help your body. You got to think, like, when you're laughing, when you're laughing at your hardest, like your stomach's hurting, you're crying, you can't breathe, you got a ab workout going, like that has to be like one of the peak happiest moments in your life. It has to be like one of the top moments of just pure bliss, of just joy, when you're in that state. And so I don't know, it's very special. It's special, and I'm glad that we're in a field that we get to try to provide that. Sometimes it's laughter, sometimes you get a bit, but we're trying.
Yeah, right. Sometimes it's a groan, but that's all right.
So yeah, I definitely think, I believe that all good comes from God, and laughter is just one of those things that comes from Him.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Someone says, when you're laughing, you're not telling yourself stories that harm you. You're free of yourself. I think that's true too. Like, right. We forget there's an ego dissolve that happens when we're laughing. You're not thinking about who you are and how people are perceiving you or any of that. All that self-consciousness and all that being in your head, it just goes away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something very precious about it.
And the special thing about it too is you can take a bad moment, a bad trauma, and you can find funny in it. Or you can watch somebody that can talk about something that you've been through, and it can make you laugh. It can make your perspective on what you have been through change a little bit, or at least find the lightness in it. Which is like, that's a magical thing right there. Like, there's nothing like it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even with the guy with the physical healing that was ailed, even if you don't physically heal, you will definitely emotionally heal, right? Like that lightness. And that's, as just growing up, that's how my grandfather dealt with things. He would make a joke about stuff that bothered him. And I kind of clung to that. That was just, how he operated. And I think as long as we have that, like, there is a release. Anything that you can laugh about is not going to be able to control you.
That's good.
You
I'm trying to die laughing, Owen.
That's the best way to go.
I'm like, that man was crazy. Good time. Yeah.
So you grew up in in the mountains, and I from what I understand, you were a little bit wild. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your background and how you've changed. I tell people, I'm like, because you don't make your beliefs a bit, or this particular one at least, like a big part of your act, or try to convert anybody or anything like that. You go on stage, you're very funny, you have a good time, and it's comedy. If I didn't know you, I wouldn't necessarily know what your beliefs are about the world, or what your perspective is, or any of that. I wouldn't know that you were even doing mostly clean material, right? Like I would just be like, that guy's funny. That would just be it, which I think is awesome. But let's talk a little bit about and dig into your background and kind of what led you to your current beliefs.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, well, first of all, what you don't see at the shows, I'm just, I'm pouring little droplets of, some stuff in people's drinks to make them a little woozy. And then I'm actually up there preaching. Y'all just think it's funny. Nah, man, I'm, born and raised in the mountains of Tennessee, Eastern Tennessee, literally the mountains, like a small town and mountains all around it. And, just not a lot of diversity in there. A lot of Caucasians, a few blacks, maybe one Chinaman, and so like in that environment, like I naturally, because I hated school, I just found fun in doing bad things. And, I think my environment like I was exposed to a lot of things. Like, you know, I was exposed to drugs and like when I was 11 or 12, like pills. And like throughout the years, all the way up until 20, I was like, I would take them here and there. And, you know, I was exposed to, you know, like porn at like 8, you know, like somebody in my family was like, you wanna watch, you know, nudie tunes. I thought it was just like, you know, cartoons or something, you know, and boom, there it was. I didn't know what it was, but you know, so that was a thing in my life at a young age, drugs and that, and you know, and you know, running from cops was fun for me, um, because it was just a thrill, and also I was fast, so those they couldn't catch me. Um, so you know, I think if I would have gotten caught, it may have been a different situation. But yeah, so I got exposed to a lot of things at a young age, and I think, you know, I also found, you know, I found God at a young age also before that, but like it was very like I see that, but this is fun. You know, all of this stuff is like crazy cool. You know, I'm at a young age and you know, all that stuff is happening and going to parties, going to college parties at 12, like I was like, man, this is crazy, you know. So I left that at a distance, and um, so for like going through all of that, and you know, even you know, at around the age of 16, 17, like going through like the trauma of being like molested and stuff, like you know, I've had therapy. I'm, you know, I think I'm fine, but you know, all the way up until 2021, and then I was like, man, my life, I have everything figured out. I should probably get married, and I got married, and then you know, I was in that for 8 years, and you know, still dealing with a lot of traumas, a lot of addictions like drug and even sex addiction and stuff like that, like and like being in the world, I was like, it was very empty. Like it was fun, and then but it was also empty later on. I don't know if we talked about it or I heard it from somebody else, but like drinking and drugs and going out, like you're borrowing happiness from tomorrow. So you're just borrowing that from the next day, and then the next day is empty, and then you do the same thing over and over, and it's fun for a short amount of time, but it's very hollow. And all through my life, doing that stuff, like leaning on drugs, leaning on sex to like make me feel good, it was very empty. And I was like, man, I need something. I need something that's like a constant. Like the world didn't offer me any kind of peace. Like there's no peace out there. Like Instagram, like you see it all out there. It's like nonstop, like Gotham City. It's like I live in Gotham City, you know? So, you know, I was in and out with God, like just, you know, double dutching, like jumping in, I'm like, and then jumping out, and like, this is fun though, you know? And probably like the past 2 years is when I've like just kind of like just exhausted and given up, like just like worldly stuff, and like, okay, I want to just do life differently. And you know, there's, you know, that's when I jumped into like Christianity, and I know a lot of people like have this like stig like this preconceived idea of what they think Christianity is, and there's a lot of like negative stuff towards it, but like with the way I'm living my life and what I'm doing, I feel like if people like just asked or like got to know me, I'm not perfect, I still make mistakes, but like you could see it's like, oh, you know, it's different from what I thought it was. So like that's like a my kind of like just my journey, and then now coming here for the past 2 years and just finding, you know, Jesus essentially. And I think that a lot of people look at Christianity and they see people who are misrepresenting what Christians should be like, and they have a blanket ideal of what it is, and it's all bad, it's all evil. And it's like, nah, man, that's really not it. Like, you could do that with anything. You could do it with race, you could do it with age. You could, somebody could be from ISIS and be like, I work for Kmart, and they really don't work for Kmart, but like they doing bad stuff. You're like, man, Kmart's bad. It's like, I mean, that's a crazy example.
No, it works.
Like, yeah, it works. But like, it's like anybody can say they're with any group and give them a bad name. Like, and my point is like, there are Christians that live, to the core principles and morals and values of what Christianity is. And we see people who are claiming to be Christians, but like they're out, murdering or doing things that are not what Jesus like wants us to do and be like. Like, it's like, nah, that they're not a part of this. Like, even though they say that they are, it's like, nah, they're not loving. Like, which is one of the biggest core values and teachings in the Bible is love. And um, I know a lot of people may not understand a lot of stories and a lot of context. And I think if you truly wanted to know and wanted to dive in, instead of hearing a brief, a newspaper clipping, like a headline. And just like today, people see a news article, you see it all on Google. You see like, oh, Kanye West, this. Then you don't really dive into like Kanye's mind or like really what he meant. Then you take that article and you just run with it. Now you have this idea of like, oh, Kanye is this, or it could be anybody, whatever you
Sure.
want to be, and I think that's a lot to do with Christianity as well.
Yeah, I
So,
think when you have certain figures that are figureheads for something like that, then it's very easy. And I'll give you an example. In fact, hold on just one second. Let me see if I can't pull this in here. Here's
Joe, who was it?
that's just there's one guy.
Yeah. No,
Right. And so with when we see people who are representing an ideology who are, have you ever seen that clip where he's like they play metal music while he's preaching?
I think so.
It's so good. I mean, I've never seen anything more perfect. It's like heavy metal, like satanic music, and he's preaching, and it's just like synced up perfectly. It's
Yeah.
so funny. Yeah, that guy is very creepy, and it's like you can even see it in his face. Like there's
Yeah.
dude, there's a lizard in there or something.
There's like, there's definitely like like I feel like the spirit, like his spirit is like, there's something just, it just feels off to me. And I mean, I don't know the person, but I would, just kind of be weary of certain people like that. Yeah, man. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, if people truly got to know what Jesus wanted out of his followers, it would touch people in a different way, other than like anger, because at the core of everything, if, one of the teachings is if you don't have love, then you have nothing at all. In the first 10 commandments, love, besides love, love God, like love your neighbor. Like, that's, people like forget that, like love is so important that if you don't have that, then you don't have nothing. Like, you can't, come to God without that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he kind of like simplified it in one commandment, right? Which is
Mhm,
basically like that: love God and love your neighbor as
mhm,
yourself.
yeah.
That's very
and,
simple.
and then everything from that is kind of like a guide, to like being a better person. Don't lie, don't steal, don't kill, you know don't sleep with your neighbor, your neighbor's wife or whatever. Like, there's a lot of things that, like, to shape you to just be a better, loving person. And the core of love, I think the equivalent of love in the Bible is serving and selflessness. You know, because that's what Jesus was like. His love was his personal sacrifice. And me as a Christian, like the way that I go out or try to live my life and love, and it's not easy in Atlanta. Not it's not even in Atlanta traffic. It's not easy, but
no doubt, buddy.
the new test, but is to how can I serve somebody? Is there something that I can do to help somebody today? Even if it's give them a simple compliment. Is there anything that I could do to show that image of just Christ and like that, like, man, I'm here to love you. Like we're all in this together. And even if you don't believe in what I believe, I'm still going to love you and who you are. And you may be broken, you may be a crack addict, you may be whatever. Like it doesn't mean that I don't love you as a person. I may not love what you're doing, but I'm still going to love you as a person, man. And I think it's just the core of like Christianity. People get caught up in like, oh, you're going to hell, and if you ain't whatever. It's like, nah, man, just have a relationship. That's it. And everything else will come. Like as you start to grow, as God just like grows in you, you'll naturally want to do and change who you are. And as humans, we're constantly evolving. If we're not evolving, then what are we doing? Right?
That's just death. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not moving.
Like I wouldn't want to be the same person I was, a year ago, 10 years ago. Like I was a bad person. Like I'm trying to be better, a better version of me every day,
Absolutely, man. I love that. I admire that. And I think that, yeah, that's very succinct and simply put, continue to love. I mean, it's kind of cliche because like people can, it's such a big word. There's only one word in English for it. And then from what I understand and like the different, the different translations and stuff, there are different types of love, if it's Greek
love, I think a word is like agape, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Hebrew. It's Hebrew or Greek. And
that's Greek.
Another word too, but like they're both love, but one is like just a deeper, like how they say in other languages, there's just words that are deeper in our language than American,
Yeah.
English language. And love. Yeah. But you know what? It's cliche for a reason. Like people say cliche things, whether relationships or life or, just anything for a reason, because like there's truth in it. And it's like, if it wasn't cliche, then it would be something else. It'd be like a different answer or, so like people say, hey, oh, that's cliche. It's cliches because no, this is like the truth. This is the answer. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I had a friend of mine actually send me a question for you. She is someone,
man.
Yeah, she's awesome. She she is a good friend of mine. We're actually going to be going to Grimerica's thing in Texas for the eclipse in April. My friend Laura.
You talk about her and how she's such a great friend.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Except that one thing.
Yeah, she's awesome, dude. Oh man. Yeah, so she asked me to ask you a question. Let me see if I can't find it. It's in here somewhere in all these texts. Hold on, let me.
Oh, there's a lot of text. Dang. Look
No.
at that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she had tons of questions about you. No, she says she's psyched for the stream. She said, hey, that God laid something on her, and she's wondered if I would pose this to Jojo, if it's meant to flow in. And now seems like a good time as far as I can tell. She says, if we are made in his image and our souls are created by him and for him to fellowship with us, could it be that when we are in total awe and wonder of the creation, it is the creator experiencing his creation through us? And does this awareness allow us to witness the I am? My soul thinks so. I think about these things a lot.
Hold up, man. You just read me a whole chapter. Okay. So
I can break it down if you want.
But go ahead. Yeah, go break it down to me, because I really want to like soak this in, and just think about that.
She asked like 2 questions, and then so we'll just do one question, the first one, and then we'll go back to the second one. Okay. So if we are made in his image and our souls are created by him and for him to fellowship with us, could it be that when we are in total awe and wonder of the creation, it is the creator experiencing his creation through us?
That's deep. That's deep. I mean, I don't even know if there's a right answer or wrong answer, but like I definitely can see that, because I know that, for me and my belief that, in the end, if I'm doing everything that God has wanted me to do and carried out my purpose in this life, and been like obedient to him, that the words that I want to hear is, that I've been a good and faithful servant. So I know that he's recognized like goodness. But yeah, I think there's just that there is a deeper level in that of like he's it's almost like a parent, like a parent. And sometimes, I use this analogy with like a relationship with God. Is like, kind of, I'm not a parent yet, but I had a cat. And um when you see a part of you growing up, and this is me thinking as a parent, if I was, when you see a part of you growing up and doing good, there has to be such a joy and happiness in that, when you see your child do something great, or take your teachings, and take their money and not want to spend it on candy, but say, hey, I want to buy this homeless person food. There has to be such a joy, and I think that God definitely sees that in us. And when we're having these moments, yeah, I think there's just a connection between the spirit that he has in us and him, that are just like, just on all vibrations and in sync, in oneness. So I definitely agree. I could, I'm not sure if anything's in like biblically in that, but you're right in the sense of he created us in his image, and there's a oneness, and um, his spirit is in us, and so we are all like in this sync, this unison together. But yeah, I
I
definitely
love it.
see that. I've had, it's crazy because when I did my show, I know this sounds crazy, but when I did my show over the weekend in Tampa, um, there was a moment where I don't want to say I was fully prepared. I had some bullet points that I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about these, and I'm going down to headline the club, and I was like, all right, God, like I need you on this one. But like there was a point where I was doing so well, and in the moment of laughter, like I stopped to see, to really see everybody laughing, and the people there. And for me, I feel like my calling is to be in stand up right now. And I just felt a connection with God, and like, okay, this is my purpose right now, to bring this kind of joy. And that was kind of like my God moment, where I just felt like I was just like, he didn't say it or anything, but I was like, I knew like I was supposed to be here.
Mm.
So I definitely can see what she's saying for that first question.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, the confirming your being on your purpose, on your
Yeah,
mission, and
yeah,
there's a specific I think there's a specific energy that is ignited or a magic or I don't know. We're all going to have different words. I think that's why there are just so many spiritual books.
mm-hmm.
And we're talking specifically about Jesus and his words, and I think a lot of those sentiments can be found in different words from a lot of different sources as well. But that particularly, that abide in me, that
Mm-hmm.
verse kind of just come to my head.
Yeah,
I don't know it like I don't have it memorized, but like just the idea that you're connected to the branch, and whatever is flowing through that branch, that's flowing through you, and you are bringing that fruit forward. That is part of coming from being on your path, being on your mission, that alignment in who you are and what you're doing in thought and action, right? Like,
yeah,
and I think that's beautiful, man, that you had that experience. And it takes a lot of like attention to be able to notice
mm-hmm.
anything on stage, because you're like, okay, when are they going to stop laughing? I got to say my next thing. Oh, what's my next thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because yeah, your mind is going, and yeah, trying to read the next thing. But I think that for me and him, it was just one of those moments of like, okay, you may not be prepared, but I'm helping you along the way in your success in this moment. And man, yeah, abide in, you know, abide in him, or putting your faith in him, and like he's gonna be there. I've never felt the things that I've felt in my life, um, that I felt in my walk with Christ. And I think, for a lot of people, it's like if you can acknowledge that there is a good and that there is an evil, then seek that good. Whatever, say it out and seek that. And I think, I know that whatever's meant to happen, however you're meant to be led, it'll come to you. So what was the second part of the question?
So, if I may, just before we move on to the second question, I will read this because I just looked it up. That
All right.
particular
Yeah.
verse. It says it's John 15:4 through 11 for anybody who
Mhm.
wants to check it on there, because there's like all these different versions, but this is the one that came up. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and is withered, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, so you will be my disciples.
Mm, yeah, that's
Pretty
good.
dope. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty
deep.
lit.
How people like, I know it's a wild parable, but like when you look at it and like when you simplify it, you know, God, like we're created to glorify Him, you know, and so us being the branch, it's like, we can't produce these things on our own, and the goodness and things of that nature. And it's like God is like He is a source of all things, life, breath, everything. And it's like he wants that relationship, for one, but two, it's like if we truly submit to Him, He is going to do great things through you and produce fruits and produce great things, but only to turn around and glorify Him. It's like He's like, hey, I'm using you as a vessel. I want to do great things in order to help other people. You know, I want you to do good things with your gifts. You know, what did Uncle Ben say? With great power comes great responsibilities. Doesn't even, go with what I'm saying, but it just came to my mind. but 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 like I think just the core is like God wants to use us if we allow him to. He's not a forceful God. He's not going to force himself, say, hey, I'm going to use you. I'm going to beat on you until you allow me to use you. He's not going to do that. He's a loving God. He wants to use us to do great things, but in those great things, he wants us to just give him that glory. And and other people, the withering part of that is like a lot of people don't want to seek anything, and I think just the world is a fiery place. I think being out there is you could find that temporary happiness, but in the end, loneliness, depression, emptiness, like that's what's out there. So
Yeah. I think it can be win-win. I mean, and I think that's kind of the gist of the idea, and the branches are to me, like, kind of what that means is just very self-seeking and self-serving. Like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to get this hit. It's for me. I'm going to blow myself up and put myself, at the forefront of this because I'm more important. And I think a lot of that is comparison.
yeah,
Judge not lest you be judged. I never understood that until kind of recently, where there's like a differential from what I understand, energetically speaking, where you judge, you could say somebody is something and that's okay. Like, this person's cheap. They just are. That's Uncle Rob. He's kind of a cheapskate. But when you
yeah,
say, Uncle Rob, man, you're trash. I'm better than you because I'm not cheap and you're cheap. Now you've judged him and you've created a differential in comparison.
yeah,
And so that will come back. That's how I kind of perceive it, at least in this moment.
yeah, yeah.
But I see a lot of that as just self-servingness, where it could just be a win-win. Like, you're glorifying creator and creation at the same time. You get what you want and he gets what he wants, and it's a
Yeah.
win-win.
Yeah, there's a verse, it talks, and I'll paraphrase, where he mentions, seek the kingdom first. Basically, seek God first, and all the basically the things in your heart will be added. Like, seek the kingdom, and the desires of your heart will be fulfilled. um, if it's his will, because there's this other part of it that we have to have some kind of awareness or consciousness of, that okay, if something didn't happen, that it's instantly bad, or there is no God or anything like that. But like, God works for our favor and our goodness. So it's like I could be wanting a motorcycle in my heart and everything, but if God knows that I'm going to be wild doing wheelies down in Decatur and all that, or I'm gonna get hit, then as the father, he's not going to allow me to have that, but he's going to give me something that's going to bring me joy in a sense, if better than that.
Yeah. I think you got to trust that too. We think we just are the ultimate authority on things, that we know what's best for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Like you said, you gonna give me the desire of my heart. I ain't famous right now. Listen, I know if I was famous and I had $1 million 5 years ago, I'd be on drugs and all these other crazy things. I'd be on episode of Cops, like, getting my airplane license, running, drugs to Cuba. Like, I would have been crazy, like, so
Yep.
it's
Yep.
because, when God can trust us with great things, then he'll bring us those things in his time. But if he can't trust me with $1 million because I'm gonna go blow it on gambling, or just be doing crazy stuff with it, then why would he give me that?
Right. Faithful in a little, faithful with much.
Yeah. What was the second part of the question?
Okay. So much is coming in, but we'll go ahead and we'll jump into the second part of the question. And so I feel like we've definitely gone a lot of distance on this first part. So I'm going to read the first question too, because it kind of is linked, but
Okay.
but don't worry about that.
Like,
So if we are made in his image and our souls are created by him and for him to fellowship with us, could it be that when we are in total awe and wonder of the creation, it is the creator experiencing his creation through us? And does this awareness allow us to witness the I am?
ooh, I think I think it allows us to witness the tip of his goodness. I think there are, yeah.
You got me, homie.
My man. I, we're comics, our minds work. I broke them.
You got me.
I think it allows us to experience a piece of his goodness. I think he reveals in other ways, and he can like. So, I what the word teaches me, and what I believe is the more that I am cut off from worldly things, in a sense of bad things, whether it be drugs, lying, like just things that are not of good, um the deeper in his spirit that I am in sync with him, you know, and the tighter the relationship that we have, and the more that I'm able to hear him. And I think as the more that I grow closer to him, I believe, I know the more that I grow closer to him, that he reveals his power in ways, in deeper ways. And I've experienced certain things, and just in moments of my own personal prayer time, just overflowing love, that like I'm like, yo, I don't deserve this. I don't know what this loving feeling is, but like I don't deserve it. But like him being like, this is the love that I have for you and want you to have for everybody. So I, in a way, I do believe that it's a piece, feeling a piece of just his goodness. But I think there's just other moments as you grow that he can reveal things that are just beyond deeper than that.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. It's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much.
Yeah. You change that one word and it changes everything.
Yeah, that's right. It's true. But no, I think that's a great answer. I mean, I think it's very hard for us to know much beyond, right, our own just consciousness. It's very limited as far as
Yes.
what is out there. So I think that's a really accurate
Yeah.
and a great way to kind
You
of
know,
describe that.
yeah. And like like meditating on his word and his goodness, or just like that prayer time, the more that you're able to cancel the world, cancel the noise out, like just the deeper the bond is, and I know when I'm consistent with that, then I'm like, oh man, like I feel just a spiritual presence, his spirit in a way. And but when I'm out, just I'm not like practicing like I should, and trying to do these things, it's like I feel raggedy. So
So yeah. This guy Peter was on the show last week. He says
what's up?
vices muffle God's voice.
Yeah,
They're
I
like
mean,
it's like a circumcision,
yeah,
basically.
circle. You had me in the first half. I was like, yeah. Wait, what?
Desensitize. It desensitizes, right?
Hey,
And yeah,
word.
yeah. You don't want to mess the tip up, dude.
Yeah,
You want to.
I think that, yeah, that's like just a very short way of like of what it is. Vices, and yeah. So I agree.
Yeah, he says. Feel like you can always hear it, but like those vices, that's how we get lost. That's how we kind of get distracted. We're maybe a little bit desensitized maybe.
And also that's where we create idols, like a love that is greater than, your relationship with God, or whatever you may believe in. If you love, or your vice is more than like you how you treat your family, or you love your family, or if it's causing you to do bad to other, that becomes your idol. And that's your focus. That has your essentially that has your spirit, your essence, and who you are. It's all being poured into this one thing, and you become disattached from everything else. And so, like, for me, like, I'm trying to be on this kick of like once a month, whether it's a day, a week, or whatever, to find something that's taking a lot of my time and fast from it. So whether if I'm watching movies every day, I'm just gonna like, all right, for this week, I'm gonna fast. I'm not gonna watch that. And in that time that I would be watching movies, I'm going to pray, or I'm going to read and try to gain understanding and wisdom and knowledge of like just life itself in the book. So yeah, vices to me, they become your idols, they become your God.
Yeah, man, that's been my experience too. It does become like that, where that's the most important thing. And
Yeah.
I have a friend who used to be a junkie, and he will tell you like nothing else mattered. He would steal, he would cheat, he would lie, he would do anything to get heroin. Like
Yeah.
it was his God. Like that's how, I've never done heroin, so I don't know much about that, but I'm relatively experienced in the world, but that's the, I guess, the most intense addiction that
Yeah.
you could really ask for. And I've experienced many other addictions as well. Some more intense than others, but I think that's a really good way to put it, that those do become your idols, and they definitely are going to create interference between hearing that voice clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Peter says it's like possession. Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree. I agree. From in what I believe, the Bible talks about spirits being in different things, and I think that if you believe in a good, if you believe in a bad, that there is a spiritual realm that things are working that we can't see, and it can be a possessive state. And I think online, I mean, you know it's hard to determine what's real and what's not real, but I think we've seen over decades of like just where people possession is a real thing, whether you want to believe it or not, like it's there. Um, so we've seen it on probably one of the best documentaries I can think of, Smeagol.
Yeah. Yeah.
The who is it? Dude off of Lord of the Rings, the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude was possessed. So
Definitely. Yeah. And obsessed, and nothing else mattered. He had no space for anything else. He was
yeah,
totally dominated by that thing.
think about it, like in even like man, it just come to mind like people who gamble, like who are at the casinos. Like they create this room with no windows or no clocks or anything, and people are in there for 15 hours, just straight, or days straight, and they're so possessed and in a trance and like just feeding money. It's like consuming who they are, and before you know it, you're just lost. You're not who you've been. So I agree. I think there's a possession that you can put yourself into with certain things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's great too that what you're kind of doing is consciously withdrawing from some of that stuff. This has happened to me too. Just, part of my job is I'm working on social media, for instance, right? So the gambling idea makes me think immediately of like Instagram. For me, TikTok's a whole other animal, but
Oh,
Instagram, I'm on it all the time. I use it all the time. I'm trying to build a brand and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So, it's helpful. There are good things to it, but also, you can wind up sort of being in that gambling mindset where you're just staring into this tiny little square.
Yeah.
And as soon as you push that button, it spins. And then the next thing comes up. It's like yanking an arm for the, what do you call those things? The
Machine.
yeah, like it's like a slot machine,
Not that, but I've seen on the movies, or you know. So what I do is, I've been in my settings and I put like an hour and 30 minutes of social media. So it'll if I'm on social media for an hour and 30 minutes, it'll pop up and say, "Hey, your time limit's done. Do you want to end it or add 15 more minutes?" And I find myself adding 15 more minutes, but that's just the daily struggle of everyday things and not getting consumed in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I remember it's so much easier to kind of, you get that like tunnel vision. And then last year I started working on the river. And so it would require me to be away from my phone basically all day. I'd be raft
Yeah.
paddling. So I'm in the back of the boat, I'm paddling, and I got some ends for redneck culture too, by the way. If you need some hooks, man, I got you covered. But I would be, and I couldn't like think about even like what's on my phone. It's kind of like the cold plunge thing where it's like, dude, if I lose my attention, then we're going over a giant waterfall. We're flipping upside down and everyone's going to swim.
Yeah. You in the back of the boat just texting and y'all going to a waterfall.
Hang on a second, man.
It's such a great feeling when you have a sense of control over it. Like when I've fasted from social media or just social media, games on my phone, just anything for a week, dude, the first 2 days, just withdrawals. I'm just picking up my phone, not even noticing. At my bad, doing those things like that. But the third, fourth day, oh, it feels so good. I'm like, this thing doesn't possess me. Oh, it's such a great feeling. And then I'm like, my bad, God, I've been out here just being cell phone.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk a little bit about true riches.
True riches.
True riches, yeah. So that's a biblical kind of idea. We talk a lot about money. There's fame, there's money, there's TikTok famous or whatever. There's all kinds of things that are glorified in our society. But what is truly worth valuing, and what is going to not just satisfy you temporarily, but long term?
Dude, when you say true riches, the thing that comes to my mind, and maybe the younger generation don't get this right away. You will when you hit 25, maybe not even that, 30. But peace and love, those are the two most valuable things that I have picked up in my faith. I have never felt a peace like no other in my life. Man, I've overdrafted off of buying a piece of candy, not even thinking, or just being stuck at an airport after traveling a weekend and having shows and not having enough money to buy a Uber to get back to my place. And just those moments like that were it if I didn't have my faith or if I didn't have my trust in God, I would be crazy. And I'm like, man, putting it all on myself. But he provided in those times. But man, the world, shoot, you look at it on your phone, you look at it on the TV, and just how chaotic it is, the crimes, the just everything going on. There's not a lot of peace out there. And for me, richness is my relationship with God, and the peace and love that I've found in that. And that means for me, it's I can't have a relationship if I'm not seeking him. It's like a regular dating relationship. If I'm not talking every day, if I'm not trying to get to know who God is for me through the Bible, then I'm not building that relationship. But the more that I do that, the more peace, the more that I feel loved as a person, the more that I understand, like, grace, and just have the wisdom given to me to just understand a lot of life, and what it is. Dude, money, if God told me to quit stand up right now, I'd quit stand up. And this is me, you know, building relationships with bigger names already, and getting opportunity, headlining clubs, and this thing that makes me happy. But I only recognize that it makes me happy because it's from him. So it's not about money. People say life is long. Bro, life expectancy of people is 70s, but we oftentimes have a immortality mindset. Oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Like we can predict that we have tomorrow. I'll do that next. I'll see my mom next week. Like we know that she will be there next week. We have this immortality way of thinking, and it's about being obedient for me, and understanding that life is short, and what do I want in the afterlife. And for me, I want to be with my creator. I want to be the person that created me. And what do I have to do to make sure that I go there? Because I don't think that, even if you don't believe necessarily in, like, Jesus, or what I believe in, I don't know a lot of people who are like, oh, I can be bad and just be out murdering and robbing stores, and I'm going to get to a good place after life. Good things are going to happen to me after life. So the most valuable thing is my relationship with God, and the love and peace that he gives me. Nothing, no material, no relationship means more than that to me. And it's all worth sacrificing.
Yeah, I mean that's powerful to be able to say that. I've thought about giving up stand up so many times, but but I do also feel
Yeah.
yeah. It takes is bombing once,
Yeah. And
you
drive home alone, you know, listen to Beethoven, classical crowd music. Yeah. Listen to Auckland and the
yeah.
arms. Not bad. Not that we've done that.
Right. No, no, not at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I see a lot of people putting some awesome stuff in here, just regarding their own, ideas of true riches. Carlos says abundance, purpose. Um, Honey, by the way, I'm not a bigot. That is her name. One of my true riches is creativity and being in the flow to make art.
Yeah.
I love that too. That's amazing. I love that moment of being creative, being in the moment right now, and you're not thinking about anything else. When I was raft guiding, I was getting a flow state a lot. I prefer to be in a creative flow state,
Yeah.
making some sort of art, like if it's comedy, usually.
Mhm.
Kevin says balance. Carla's got lots of true riches: honesty, truth, faith, gratitude. You know,
Yeah.
I honestly think this is how I feel about it. To me, the true riches are you guys. Like the true riches are the other people who are around, who we are able to have deep, meaningful relationships with. The people who are gonna be there, no matter what. The people
Right.
who, if things did go crazy, right, they'd be like, "Oh, Jojo's here, man. Come to my fire." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If shit hits a fan or whatever, right? It's like, "Oh, dude, Jojo's here, man. Come on over to our, apocalyptic trailer
Bunk.
park."
Let's go.
Right,
In the woods
right.
of Tennessee. No, I agree. That's really good. And I agree with, everything that everyone is saying. For me, I think it's that triangle. It stems from that source of love, and then you get gratitude, you get abundance, because God wants you to have, and you get peace, you get balance, and I think most importantly, you get the awareness of those things, the awareness of being grateful to eat a meal, and that not everybody is blessed to just eat food whenever they want to. So I think as for me, as I grow in the image of God and I take on who Jesus is, it changes my perspective in life. And I look at things, I'm more grateful and humble, like more humble about a lot of things. And um, everything that everybody's saying, like all of those just kind of fall into line of that love and awareness. And so I agree, man. You know, I agree with y'all. Y'all are on
Yeah.
point. I love y'all.
It's a good community. It's and I'm super grateful for it. But that's just, to me, one of my practices is to drum up gratitude, right? And like
Yeah.
one of the things that my friend Daniel James says is that like people will start a gratitude journal, but they'll forget to feel gratitude. So they'll sit down and be like, "What am I grateful for? Oh, I like my car, I like this, I like that." Blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well that's great, but you need to actually feel that gratitude. And for me to do that, I'll think of people, who may be alive, maybe not, like my grandfather or, someone who has passed away, even an old pet or something that just brings me true joy, and just focus on that person or that creature. And that creates a little bit of joy and then once I can get that generated, then I can just focus on it. And I feel like our focus is really like an amplifier. So then
Yeah.
boo, 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 it just like drums that up and starts to, really kind of get that big. So to me, that's really how I view it. I love people. I love community and people being together and all of that. So that's really big in my world. So yeah, so it's all coming from that relationship. And then whenever I'm going here or going on stage or whatever, I'm trying to get to the point where I can work in and share whatever my connection to God is with
Yeah.
the people that are in the audience.
Mhm.
If I can do that, then that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. It's a kind of a tall order, but I'm working on it.
That's good. Not to go off of somebody said creation as well. It's always fascinating to me as well as like, and maybe like what the person asked the first questions about being close to your creator. It's like in a way you creating something is you get to kind of see a piece, just a minute piece of like how God is and like how he created, like, we're creating something, whether if it's painting or whatever, we're taking this thought, these waves of electrons and think your brain pumping, and we're producing something, creating something out of thin air. So that's an interesting thing as well. So like even when I'm in my creative element, like it's like I said, I have moments with God because it's a full on creation itself. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
love that. We got one more question I want to
just
sling to you. It's from
what
Jada.
y'all.
Jada Landry. How do you stay faithful when times get tough and comedy may seem tough?
I order Little Caesars slice and sticks and honey and some form of Kool-Aid, and I eat the whole thing in less than 10 minutes. And my roommate is seeing me walk out with the trash to throw it outside, and he's like, "You ate that whole thing in 10 minutes?" And yeah, I'm in a bad state right now. Leave me alone, you know. um, so that is very hard for me because I have a lot of highs and I have a lot of lows, extremes. So it's a small percentage that I'm riding in the middle, like I'm even kill. And I'm still learning to try to stay in that middle, like everything is balanced. And like I said, I have extreme highs, and then it's scary because I'm like, oh gosh, here comes an extreme low. And when I'm down there, whew, it is tough. I have times when I'm able to deal with it, but the great thing about God is he doesn't want us to do life alone. He doesn't want us to walk alone. He is all about unity as well. So I have people in my corner that, oh man, that, when I'm struggling, instead of pushing me away, um, they they pull me in. And I think that's so important to have in my life. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't have that from certain people. And I think God provided that because I needed that, because I know that with the depression that I deal with, that being alone, I don't know how long I would keep pushing. And so that is one very important thing, is having my circle. And the other thing, if I'm not necessarily stumbling away from God and the Bible, and they're usually pushing me back and help uplifting me and encourage me in that way. If I'm able to kind of manage, then it's it's going deeper with God, and praying, and being in scripture, and he brings me revelations of, hey, this may be hard right now, but this is needed for me to take you to this other place. You need to experience this because it's going to build your character, it's going to build your patience, it's going to build who you are and the love that you have, and you're going to be able to handle this bigger situation that I have for you.
Yep.
And so yeah, those are, I'm not perfect, and lately I've struggled, but I'm definitely grateful for the people in my corner, and that God still has his hands over me through people. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it can be very difficult, very trying sometimes. I know how it feels when you feel like you're there. Like, I'm here, I've done the thing, I've worked really hard, I've gotten to this point, and I should be there right now. And then you're still not, or where you might have thought you might be, in whatever that is. And it seems like it's just, what am I doing wrong? Did I do something incorrectly?
Yeah.
But one of the things that Karen encouraged me with was that, hey, don't try to take a shortcut. Don't, worry and be in a hurry. Just keep going. And one of the courses I've taken is this guy. He's incredibly unfunny, and he won the world's funniest speaker competition in 2001.
No.
Yeah. Dude. I mean, he's just not naturally funny at all. Like, and he admits it. Like, he even talks about that. And he won the world championship of public speaking and humor in 2001. I'll send you the speech. It's very powerful. Anybody, maybe I'll share it in the Telegram or something, guys. But yeah, he's done a couple of speeches that are fantastic. He does this one speech that's it's like a parody of Toastmasters, but like as if it's AA. Yeah, and it's very funny. I mean, Toastmasters already sounds like a bunch of people who are getting ham-faced at lunch anyway, Right. But like he did a great job with that. But his world famous speech, he worked really hard on and got it to that point. But I had a point of what he says, and I forgot what it was. Yeah, Karen basically was just like, oh yeah, that's what it was. So he had a mentor who was a very funny comedian, and the guy kind of took him under his wing. Mm-hmm. And he said, he was in comedy for a couple of years, did a set, did okay. And then someone came out, it was their first time. They went out and just smashed it. They were so good.
Yeah.
And so after that, Darren goes to his mentor and he's like, how do you know who's going to make it? And his mentor said, oh, that's easy. The people who make it are the ones who don't stop. And it's those really challenging times, I think we do look back and we appreciate those. There was one time when I was doing a show, one of yours at Legends, and Matt was there, Matt Guy, who's a very funny comedian.
What up, man?
What up, Matt Guy? Yeah, he'll probably never listen, but but much love to you, Matt. But I remember specifically like him talking about, and I think it was spring break or something. It wasn't a huge turnout that night, but he was like, "These are the good old days, man." Like in that moment, he said, "These are the good old days," and that has stuck with me ever since, because it's like, yeah, you go to this terrible open mic, it's awful, nobody wants to be there, every comedian just wants you to eat shit, they hate you so much, you can feel their penetrating glaze at you, like they're rooting against you actively because they think that that makes them funnier. You know, and you get up on stage and you're just like, God, this is awful. Well, how to flip the script and be like, these are the good old days, this is going to make a great story, this is something that I can talk about, I can connect with other people about, I can make this fun. And if you can learn, because I can guarantee you, if Dave Chappelle walked into that terrible open mic, like he would have us on a hook in just a second. It wouldn't take him long at all. You know, someone who's very seasoned would be able to take command of that room, not because they wrote the most brilliant joke and they're going to tell it to you right now, because they know how to find the funny in that moment. And so I think a lot of the preparation, it comes down to that. I like to think of it as snake charming. You know? Like that's what a lot of the open mics are. I remember doing this like trailer open mic. Literally, it was like a trailer bar, and it was in Marietta. And I remember the host went up and started immediately going into material, and he got eaten alive by the bar regulars. And you know, nobody did well. And then I got up and I started addressing the bar regulars, and you know, I didn't do great, but I did at least, you know, address the elephant in the room enough for them to back off and to like take a minute, you know, and realize what was going on. I mean, it's one of those shows where the host didn't host, you know, he didn't say, "Hey, we're doing comedy tonight," which is like so basic, but so often the host will just forget to do that.
You
know?
The regulars, they're over there drunk, just drinking Mountain Dew in the trailer, and you're over there just trying to get laughs.
Right. But if you can walk in there and you can get them to, because the first step is you just have to get them to listen. If they're not listening, they're not going to laugh. So you got to figure out how to get them to listen, to pay attention to you somehow. And then you draw them in, you kind of get them thinking down the same railroad track. Then you derail it into a joke.
Usually, you know, venues like that, trailers or whatever, get everybody's attention. Just do little ceiling pop. Just bang, shoot your gun at the ceiling. Boom.
Yeah.
Everybody's like,
that's how the Cowboys did it. That's right. That's how the Cowboys did it. My Sherry, I'm not going to pronounce that right, so I'm just going to apologize. But she says, awesome testimony, Jojo. I feel your frequency, and it's totally inspiring.
First of all, you're canceled for doing her name wrong. So I'm taking your jokes. No, appreciate it. I'm glad that Owen gave me the platform, and you know, my thing is I want to be a light for people. And I don't want to be a misrepresentation of like who like God is. And I think there's a lot of that going out there. There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. And you got to recognize that. And a way to recognize that is like the fruits of the spirit are, you know, love, peace. I think joy. There's a few of them. Somebody's acting out of that. You got me, Owen. If somebody's acting out of that, then they're not in sync with, you know, who God is and how God wants us to act. So I appreciate it. And I just, you know, I'm glad that I could be an inspiration to somebody. And I know that's, you know, I had a kind of a revelation a few months ago where I was looking at my life and I was like, man, I've been through so much trauma from, like I said, porn at a young age, drugs at a young age, sex addiction, molestation, all these things. And I was like, it was almost I don't want to say it was a vision, but it felt like a vision where I was like, my life is muddy. My life is very muddy. But God gave me a revelation of like, there's a story in the Bible where Jesus takes mud from the ground and and he rubs it on a blind person's eyes. And then I don't know if he says anything or what, but the blind person, like that is his way, the miracle of, causing him to see through that. And, God brought me this revelation of like, your life is muddy because I want to use it to bring the blind and give them sight through that you've done or been through. And comedy is going to be that outlet. And so if I can help and serve, I'm just grateful that I can just encourage and inspire somebody. So
that's awesome, man.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang, baby. What's up? Yeah, my homie James, the Admiral Hits from the Sonic Portal, he says, apocalyptimist is a person.
Yeah. Snoop Dogg stop smoking weed. Come on, it's ended.
Hey, man. Yeah, so that's crazy, man. We're gonna look back. The Mandela effect's gonna change. All his albums won't even be about weed.
I know. It'll be like a Hall and Oates. It will be just. It'll be a Hall and Oates version of Snoop Dogg.
Right. Absolutely. He says apocalyptimist is the person who sees the world falling apart, but still feels like it's going to work out.
Yeah, I think there's a collateral beauty in everything. It's hard to find it, but when you can find it, it's very special.
I think so too. Yeah, 100%. He also says what got you to where you are now won't get you to where you want to go. And that's true. I know that to be true too. We build these things up. We get to a certain place. Here we are. We've got these skills, which is great. And Karen was like, don't try to skip ahead because then you will be missing certain skills, comfortability, stage skill, whatever that is that you really need. I mean, it takes time to learn certain things. I think we can go a bit faster, but there's a reason why mastery takes as long as it takes. When you see somebody who's doing something and it looks effortless, it's certainly very difficult and taken many, many, many years to master.
We see people, like I look at a Dave Chappelle or anybody big in comedy, and they make it seem so flawless and easy. They make it seem like that so well that like you forget that they had to go through a struggle. And sometimes it can be intimidating. You're like, I'm not going to get there. They're so great, but you forget that the steps that we've been through, they have been through as well. And that goes about life and things of that nature. And so yeah, it's we all have to, like you said, we all have to go through something to form who we are, our character, and also to be appreciative of like what you have. You remember, like it's almost like when you were a kid, and if your parents gave you a car, what are you doing with that car? You out doing donuts and doing all these hitting curbs and all that because you didn't buy the car. But if you bought your own car with your own hard money, man, you going 45, you making sure like, everything's, the water's in there, the oil's in there, you're not letting the engine light come on, everything. You like making sure it's taken care of really well. And I think that's just like life as well. Like, like I said, I don't think God would have given me $1 million 10 years ago because, I would have had a bunch of pontoon boats.
On a pontoon. Yeah, man.
Speakers and some freaking Jason Aldean playing.
That's right. That's right, man.
And,
motorboating.
He'd be like, "Good. You're not helping nobody, bro. I'm like playing pontoon bumper boats. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, man. Back Talladega Nights. Like so spot on. No, that's great. That's great. That's great, man. I could hang out and we could chat for a long time. I got to have you back. We'll be seeing each other doing some shows. Y'all, certainly the Pontoon Boys.
That's our
bruh, bruh, bruh.
Boys.
That's it, dude. Y'all be sure to check out Jojo's special. Check out his YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. I'll put you on my feature channels too. It'll be easier to find that way. And I mean, this particular stream is dedicated to the ultimate blue collar mystic, Jesus himself. I don't think you can get any more of a blue collar mystic than that. This dude, a carpenter and a miracle worker. So I'll read this. It's not words of Jesus. It's from Galatians, but you were talking about the fruits of the Spirit. So I'll read what those are. I just pulled that up. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things, there is no law. So anytime you're operating in any of those things, there's not going to be negative consequences for you.
Yeah. And if you're not, you're a wolf.
All right. That's right.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys on the chat for chatting. I love the questions, and I pray that it can be inspiration to everybody, and that just blessings on y'all's journey. And man, we'll be in contact. We're gonna have a party at Owen's house for all the live streamers. But yeah, dude, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just want to shout out to everybody for hanging out with us. Thank you so much, Carla, Peter, my Sherry, and my Sherry Amore. Okay, I'm just gonna say what I feel. Honey, James. There's two James. Yeah. Kevin. Let's see.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Just shouting out for all these folks. Jada, thanks for hanging out with us. Everybody who's here in the chat, just kicking it with us. I appreciate you for taking the time to be here and being present for this. And again, please check out all of Jojo's links. I've got his Instagram in there. His Instagram doing pretty good, and brand new special just came out not long ago. Check that out. And we are going to hopefully have some really cool stuff I'll share. Big announcements in 2024. I'll be present now and be here for this. And in 2024, we'll be talking about some new stuff. And I just appreciate y'all. Remember, be chasing those true riches out there, y'all. And we'll see y'all next week. I got Mark Steves next week on the podcast. We're going to be talking about shadow work, the old mystery of the shadows. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So please come and hang out next Tuesday, 9 p.m. with Mark Steves of My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast. Thank you guys once again, so much again. Go check out all JoJo stuff. On the Instagram. Love you guys.
Love you.